Welcome to this special edition of Perspectives. I'm Tracy Alexander and thank you for joining us for our coverage as Israel not only marks Space Week, but it's also set to commemorate the tragedy of Columbia STS-107, which exploded on re-entry to the Earth's atmosphere 16 years ago tomorrow. All 7 crew members perished, including Israel's first astronaut, Ilan Ramon. It comes as an Israeli non-profit organisation gets set to launch a satellite into space with the goal of becoming the first Israeli spacecraft on the moon. Now, Space IL was founded by 3 young engineers who answered the international challenge presented by the Google Lunar X Prize to build, launch and land an unmanned spacecraft on the moon. Now, Space IL was the only Israeli representative, and in October 2015, Space IL reached a dramatic project milestone by becoming the first team to announce a signed launch contract, symbolising an actual ticket to the moon. But the competition officially ended with no winners in March last year after Google ended their sponsorship. Regardless of the competition, Space IL says it's committed to continue and complete its mission. And one of those very engineers, co-founder of Space IL, Kfir Damari, joins me in studio. Kfir, great to have you with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Now, the launch date is set for the second half of February. There's speculation that that date is February the 18th. How are things looking ahead of that launch date?
So we don't have a specific date, but it's true, the second half of February. Right now, the spacecraft is already at Florida, at Cape Canaveral, in integration phases and with the fueling of the spacecraft itself. So there is a lot of testings, both there and in Israel, in the control room. You know, they're practicing all the maneuvers they will have to do and all the procedures. And all of us are really excited. It's going to be really, really soon.
And if the launch is a success, does that almost guarantee a moon landing?
No. So after we launch, we actually have 2 months in space, flying toward the moon, maneuvering toward the moon. And then we're going to reach the moon and we're going to land. And that landing is, from an engineering perspective, it's not that easy. We've done a lot of work to make sure, we'll have the best success rates we can. But again, it will still be, beside the first Israeli spacecraft, it will be the first time that a non-governmental organization, a private organization, is going to land on the moon or anywhere else in the universe. So, it's a big achievement.
And the smallest satellite, the smallest spacecraft to land on a moon too. So being a non-government organisation, if you reach that milestone, being an NGO, the first NGO to land a spacecraft on the moon, how does that work? Talk us through the partnerships. How did you get here?
So we started, as you said, in the X Prize competition. The 3 of us, we started as a volunteer organization. We managed to get a lot of, space enthusiasts, and eventually we were able to get a partnership with the Israeli aerospace industries that, were really a big part in building, designing the spacecraft. And through that story, we started with a really small spacecraft. We were planning to have a spacecraft that weighed around 5 kilos. Now it's more than 500 kilos. So it grew a bit than what we imagined. But, we're happy that we have all those people from volunteers. Today we have 40 full-time employees. We have supporters. Moise Khan, our chairman, is our biggest donor. Sheldon Edelson, Lynn Schusterman, and Steve Grant, and so many others that joined.
Now, of course, the competition was what kicked off the idea, but why does Space IL want to go to the moon?
So the competition started it, but we realized from the early on, it's not our spacecraft. We realized it belongs to everyone who cares about Israel. We're creating a moment in history. But we also had another thing in our head. It's called the Apollo effect back then. We call it now the Space IL effect. And it's using this moment in order to inspire kids to go and study science, technology, engineering. So besides building the spacecraft in the last 8 years, we actually went to classroom. We met more than 1 million kids in Israel and abroad, and told them our story, and told them, we're building this spacecraft. You can actually, although it's rocket science, you can understand how the spacecraft is being built, and it's your job to build the next one.
Is there anything that could prevent the launch from taking place second half of Feb?
So generally, in space, there are a lot of things a lot of testing that you need to do and make sure everything happens. So this is one of the reasons we don't have a specific date, but even if to be a day earlier or later, it's soon.
So let's be optimistic. Have you planned out what your first words will be when the Israeli flag is placed on the moon?
So that will actually be not in February, that will be in April, 2 months later. Right now we're preparing for the launch. We also have plans for the landing, but
have you got some words in mind? Of course, we remember Neil Armstrong's famous words that went down in history. Have you put a lot of thought into what you plan to say?
So they say it's not good to use that word before you actually land. Okay. But I really hope that everyone that sees this video will join us in the landing, and you'll be with us.
All right. Well, Kfir, we wish you the very best of luck, and of course, we'll be following that journey. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.